Hello. Hey everyone. Just move these to one side. Hello, welcome. Hello. Hello, welcome. Brilliant. Oh, it's nice to see some familiar handles coming up. Hello. Great. I think we'll get started. Welcome to Town at Eastbourne's live making workshop. My name's Amy, and today we're going to explore the action of floating in the third artist-led activity taking place this May. Previous session recordings on squashing Play-Doh, which was our first one, and spinning wind chimes can be found on this Instagram account. It can also be found on Town at Eastbourne's Facebook and website. If you came along to them, the first two workshops, that's brilliant. Hello again, and if you're new to these workshops, you're very welcome here. So these workshops are part of the #MakeshiftStudio project on Instagram. You might have seen it on this account, on the feed already, and maybe even taken part in it, which is great. So #MakeshiftStudio is a making challenge, which is set by the Towner team each week using basic objects and materials found in the home. So this week's prompt was float and the sink, inspired by this really amazing Alfred Wallace painting of a steamer boat. So slotting in with that theme, we are going to make some bubble snakes, and I definitely recommend checking out previous #MakeshiftStudio provocations to get more ideas of exploring your surroundings and objects that you can find around the house, materials, and your own creativity. So definitely check out #MakeshiftStudio. Hello everyone. Aww. Okay, so I guess a little reminder whilst people join us, we do this every week, but just a few things. Everyone is welcome to take part, but please, if you are a child, ask an adult to work with you. Ask permission if you're borrowing things, and if you're choosing extra materials that haven't been detailed on the list, please don't use any sharp or precious or breakable things. Feel free to use the comment section if you need a hand, and we'll just check in on each other as we make. Great. So hopefully you'll have had a look at the materials list needed for our bubble snakes. Don't worry if not. I'll go through them now, and you can take this opportunity to gather things or just check you've got everything. Cool. So to make our floating bubble snakes, we are going to need a plastic bottle. It doesn't matter what size or shape. I found bottles, like water bottles or non-carbonated bottles, a little bit easier to cut because they're a bit thinner, the plastic, but I've also used like smoothie bottles and sort of different like shorter ones as well, so it's all good. You'll need a plastic bottle. You will need a clean sock, just one. So if you've got an odd sock, or you have a sock which doesn't have a partner, this is like a great thing this is a great activity to use it in, and if you've got one that's too small, that's also great, you can use it. So I've got a sock. We'll need a couple of elastic bands, maybe just one or two, or an equivalent like a hairband, something to secure it with. We're also going to need a pair of scissors. We're going to need a bowl and access to some water and a squirt of washing up liquid. So you don't need very much for this activity, just a little squirt. Cool, so those are all of our materials that we need. Plastic bottle, clean sock, elastic bands, scissors, bowl, washing up liquid and water. So if everyone is ready, we'll get started. So the first thing is just to make sure that your bottle is empty and clean, and you don't really need the cap, so you can put it to one side. This might be useful if you want to identify whose bottle. If you've got more than one bubble snake in your house, you could just leave it to one side, maybe write your name on it or something. Okay, cool. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to cut off the bottom of your plastic bottle. This can be quite tricky. I find this quite hard. So if you're a child, please do ask an adult to help you, and take your time. There's no need to rush. I've just helped myself by cutting a little slit first of all, and then very, very slowly making sure my hands aren't near the blade or in the way of the scissors. I'm going to push the blade in. I'm going to very, very carefully start cutting off the bottom of the bottle. It doesn't matter if you decide to cut it further up, that's totally fine, it will still work. Very slowly cut the bottom off. There's a bit of water still in there, that's fine. Ta-da. Great. Then you can pop the bottom to one side, you can recycle it. If you are just checking, if you have little jagged bits that you want to get rid of, you can also carefully get rid of them if you want, but it doesn't really make a difference to your bubble snake maker. Cool. So everyone should have, if you're making along, a plastic bottle with the bottom cut off of it. You can cut it further down if you want. I've just decided just to cut the bottom bit off and keep the full length, or most of the length, so I can hold it easily. The second thing we're going to do is going to take our sock, and we are going to slide the sock over the end of the bottom that you've just cut up. Again, take your time. So the toes of my socks are on the bottom that I've just cut off. You might take a bit of time adjusting and pulling the sock over, so it's more or less taut. If it's a bit saggy, it's fine. How's everyone doing? If you're making along, maybe just give a little thumbs up. Cool. Because I'm using an adult size sock, it's quite long, so we're just going to fold it over. If you're using a much smaller sock, you may not need to do this step, but also it's quite good because the little ribbed bit at the top provides a bit of extra security. Fold it over, and then I might fold it over again. Brilliant. Oh, thank you. Great, so you should have a be at this stage, and then this is when we are going to be using our elastic bands. You only really need one, really, and if you don't need this step because your sock is quite snug, then feel free to miss it out. And I'm going to wrap the elastic band around the top of the sock, making sure it's nice and secure. Great. Hello, if you're just joining us, welcome. Okay. If you're just joining us and would like to make along, we've just done 3 steps so far. So we've cut off the bottom of our plastic bottles, we've slid a sock over it so the toes correspond to the bottom of the cut off bottle, and we've just tied an elastic band, folding over your sock if it's super long. Cool. So I guess this is it. We're going to put this object to one side and we're going to mix up our bubble solution. So with a bowl, we are going to put a smidge of water in. I'm not going to put very much because you don't really need very much. So a dash of water and a squirt of washing up liquid. Okay. At this point, it's up to you. You can just stir it in a little bit. And there's no exact ratio behind washing up liquid to water, but I tend to find like 50-50 is fine, and then you can adjust accordingly. So you don't need very much. You can see that. And then using your bubble snake contraption, you can just dip the sock end in your mixture. Just a few things before we start using them. There's a few really gentle reminders. It's important that you don't inhale, so it's important that you blow through your bubble snake contraption. I've done it before where I've inhaled and it hasn't tasted great. A second thing is just, it happens, but make sure that you take your time and take breaths in between and you just breathe. We've all been there when we've had so much fun. It's just like, whoa, you know, a bit much, but just take it easy and take breaks. And the last thing is, I recommend that you wash these between using, so wash the bottle between using your bubble snake contraption. And if you have loads of bubble snake contraptions around the house and loads of different people using them, maybe you could decorate them, or maybe you could think of a system, maybe using the bottle cap or like a different coloured elastic band, just to make sure everyone knows whose bubble snake contraption is theirs. Okay, is everyone okay? Should we see what happens? Okay, I'm going to get another bowl and I'm going to blow, not inhale. Brilliant. So you'll kind of figure out what you would like to do. There are so many different things you can do with your bubble snake contraption. I've just shown you just blowing into a bowl and it takes on that form and it just kind of balloons up like a mushroom. But a really nice thing that I've been doing, and I'm sure you've got loads and loads of ideas, so feel free to share them in the comments. One thing that I've been doing, it's quite a nice day to do it as well, if there's a breeze outside, I've been like blowing them off of my balcony or out of a window, and just watching them sort of float away. I've also been trying to blow the tallest bubble tower ever, which is quite a nice thing to do indoors. Maybe I'll try that now. Need some structural support. And if you make your hands really wet, so you see that the bubbles are sort of popping with my dry hands, if you make your hands quite wet in like a bowl of water or run them under the tap, you can kind of like hold your bubbles for a bit longer and you can sort of explore them in a really sensory way. So they make a really lovely like crackling noise that you might, don't know if you can hear. or maybe you can hear with your own bubbles that you're making. Another thing I found, if you've got a really shiny surface, like a plate, like a plastic plate or a frisbee, and you're out and about, you could try blowing them and then catching them, or creating a game that way. And another thing is, if you had food colouring, and this is all optional, if you had food colouring or perhaps some water-based paint. Oh really, you can hear the bubbles. If you had food colouring or some water-based paint, you could also mix up a kind of bubble, a coloured bubble mixture. For this, when I've tried it, and it might vary depending on what you have, but when I tried it, I haven't used water. I've just used liquid food colouring and like substituted it for the water. But if you want to use water as well, it just comes out quite pale. And I've seen some really lovely sort of effects that it can make. You can also make your own sort of bubble prints by just blowing the bubbles and just using your sock just to place it if you're using sort of coloured food colouring or coloured bubbles. I've also seen it, but I haven't tried, where people have put dabs of food colouring on the base, and then with just their normal washing up liquid, they're blown through, and all of these beautiful different sort of rainbowy colours come out. And my last suggestion, oh you're having so much fun, that's brilliant. My last suggestion is perhaps even just trapping textures or objects underneath. So in keeping with our hashtag makeshift studio theme of floating and sinking, you could maybe in the bath, if you're allowed to, or in a sink or in a bowl of water, you could just float some of these bubbles and see what they do. And you could also maybe do an experiment or see what objects float or sink. Oh, we've got some really lovely comments, thank you. So someone's saying your bubbles are blowing up the street. Oh, and that you're enjoying the prints, that's brilliant. So I guess I'll show you, I've got a bowl of water here, but maybe you can't see so much. Maybe we could see if we can make them float. Our bubbles are floating. And then you could just have a bit of an experiment with different objects or things that you might have. Got pom-pom in here. You can maybe just place it on top of the bubble and see what floats and sinks. Cool. If anyone has any other ideas or activities or uses that they're doing with their bubble snakes, feel free to post them. Or if you do post what you get up to, feel free to share them with this Instagram account and hashtag makeshift studio. We'd really love to see what you've been getting up to. Remember, if you're sharing photos of anyone else, just ask them first. And I guess if everyone's okay, I might wrap it up and remind everyone hello, if you just joined us, remind everyone that the next hashtag makeshift studio is next Thursday the 28th at 2 p.m. Got another really great comment saying we're shining light through them with a torch. Ah, oh, such a good idea. Also, if you don't have access to somewhere that's windy or has breeze, you could even, on the hashtag makeshift studio rations list, there's like a balloon pump or a hairdryer, so you could always use and create your own motion. I'm quite happy just, you know, creating structures out of them, because they do last for quite a long time, the bubbles. They're quite impressive. Maybe I'll do one more bowl's worth. So just a reminder, the next makeshift studio live workshop is next Thursday at 2 p.m, where we'll be exploring making ink and our own drawing tools. You're all really welcome to come along to it. The materials list for that will be posted on Tuesday on Instagram and Facebook, so you can gather all of your bits beforehand. If you can't make it, don't worry at all. Recorded workshops will be available on the following day. And likewise for this, if you've just joined us and you're wondering what we're doing, and if you're wondering how you could make your own bubble snake machine, all the information like the illustrated making guides and this recording will be posted, so don't worry. Great, if anyone has any concerns or questions, maybe I will just demonstrate and keep on going with this. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you all next week, and I'm really excited to see what you get up to with your bubble snakes. It's just so exciting. But cool, I'll just keep on going and I'll say bye for now. Bye. Cool, thank you, bye. See you soon, bye.